Welcome to the 10 and 10 podcast. I'm your host today, Ashley Clark, and I'm so excited you are here to meet the amazing guest I have with me. Nicole Allison with Fit to Love Coaching is here, and she is going to help us understand a little bit more about how we can get over life's heartbreaks. I'm so glad you're here. You have an incredible story that we kind of got to touch on about being able to truly guide women and coach them on how to step into their power and break free from the toxic cycles that they may be experiencing, rising in self-worth and becoming emotionally fit, which I absolutely love, to be able to create those healthier relationships and be able to really thrive. I'm so excited you're here, and I can't wait for you to help me understand how to do that in my own life. So tell me a little bit about how you got here.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate being here today, and it's an honor. So I went through a divorce 8 years ago, and I found myself kind of a wreck and not in a great place. And when I was in the dating world, I became what I like to call almost like a tornado. And I went through a lot of relationships that were very heartbreaking, mostly because I wasn't in a place of being healed, and my self-esteem was low, my self-worth was low, and I continued to beat myself up. And I felt almost as if I was a lost cause. And then I began to not want to feel that way anymore, and I wanted to get better. So moving back just a little bit longer, when I was in the fitness industry, which is when I was about probably 10 years ago, I did mindset coaching for fitness competitors. I was a WBFF pro.
Wow.
So I helped them to get the courage to get up on stage, to perform, to get out of their head, and to really have that journey and that vision of winning and being successful. And so a lot of what I coached back then are the tools that I plugged in when I hit this space of, I'd say, detriment with myself.
Yeah.
And I just started to make the steps, coming back to myself, coming back to my values, doing little things that made me feel good about myself, and so on and so onward. But basically, once I came to the other side of it, I realized, oh my gosh, I'm finally okay. I'm in a good space. I have confidence now. I'm no longer making decisions that are hurting me and other people. And I want to give this feeling to others. I want to teach this, and I want to guide women to come through their heartbreak battles and come out of it an amazing, wonderful, strong woman.
Yeah, that's so incredible, and such an amazing story of resilience and being able to take tools that you've learned for something else and apply them, and then see that there is still a need out there for other women who want the same thing. There's a term that you use, emotionally fit, in your coaching. Can you kind of explain what that is and how it helps build resilience?
Absolutely. So when we're emotionally fit, we're strong to handle life's emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And many times they're messy. And when we're able to handle them without going into breakdown or being triggered, and we're able to be strong in how we react, that's emotional fitness. So much like physical fitness, when we work out, we're training ourselves to be strong for physical challenges.
Mm-hmm.
When we train ourselves to be emotionally fit, we're training ourselves to be strong for emotional challenges, if you look at it that way. So a person can build their heart and their mind to become emotionally strong, no different than you can build your muscles in your body to be physically strong.
That's an incredible metaphor for that. And I love that analogy because it really helps us understand that there are emotional aspects in the things that we do, especially as women, as moms, as working and taking care of so many things, and being able to build that resilience up and not only be strong, but emotionally strong as well, and have that help us show up in our lives in the way that we want to, rather than being reactive, kind of as you were saying. I know that there are many women that struggle with kind of knowing the difference between healthy boundaries and just putting up walls. Can you kind of explain that a little bit and how to tell the difference?
Yes. So a boundary is something that we use to protect our peace, whereas a wall protects our pain. So when we make decisions from a place of love and self-worth, that would be a boundary. When we make decisions from a place of fear and hurt, that would be a wall. So often when we're making decisions out of fear and hurt, we're shutting the people out in our life that we need to keep in our life or that would help us. And then when we're making decisions from boundaries, we're opening up ourselves to love and to growth and to protecting ourselves. So it's different. And many times when women, especially, like, our first instinct is to just put our walls up. I never want to get hurt again. I never want to feel my heart break like this again. I never want to cry this hard again. If it means I never love again, that's what I'm going to do. So that's an example of a wall. So that's really just holding ourselves back from what this life can give us, which is love and many connections through friends, family, coworkers, our children. So we don't want to block all that out. Whereas a boundary is just, I'm doing this because I love myself enough to not allow this in my life, but I'm doing it from a place of love. So I will let love in, but I'll make sure that it feels right.
Mm-hmm. That's another beautiful analogy. I love how you frame that and kind of the two different walls that we do put up. And I know I have done the exact same thing. I don't want to feel this emotion ever again. And so I'm going to cut myself off. But as you said, you also cut yourself off from the beautiful things that you could gain. And so it looks like you really help women go from the one type of wall that we want to put up to the other type of wall that can help us be who we want to be and bring other people in who help us there. It's so beautiful, and I think there's a big need for it in the world. How do you help women reconnect with themselves when heartbreak makes them feel like they don't know who they are anymore or they've lost their identity?
Well, oftentimes when we come out of a relationship, we have a hard time separating ourselves from who we were with the person, because that's where all of our energy has been for so long, and who we are on our own. So one of the first steps is really being able to feel that pain, feel that disconnection from someone we were with for a really long time, and to start having a vision of moving forward and becoming who we are without that person. And often that's really hard to imagine because we feel so broken.
Yeah.
And I try to help women to start doing things like journaling and writing down what they're grateful for, and dating themselves, going out solo, and starting to do things that make them feel like themselves again. Even one of my favorite things to do is have women write a letter to themselves, and basically, like, the person they feel they lost in the relationship, to write a letter to that person and to tell them what they want moving forward. Because many times we lose who we are, and we don't remember.
Yeah.
And so writing, going back to who we were, can start to wake up that part of us again.
Yeah.
So healing is not about forgetting who you are. It's about growing forward with who you are.
I love that. Sometimes it also feels like hiding for me personally, hiding that part of me so that part doesn't get hurt, as you kind of said with those walls. But learning how to open up and shift that perspective. I know we talked a little bit before we jumped on about how heartbreak can come up in many different looks or from different people or in different ways. Do you want to talk a little bit about the different ways it could show up for women? Or maybe we don't think this is going to be heartbreak, but it still does affect our lives and how we do things every day.
Yes. So relationships are often the heartbreak that many of the women I talk to are going through, whether it be a divorce, another failing relationship. It's something that has to do with a partner or love. But there's also heartbreak that involves your family, maybe your mom, your dad. Maybe there's a falling out with them and you don't talk to them anymore. That's a form of heartbreak. Or with your siblings or with a friend. So it's loss in general that you didn't want to lose. That's what heartbreak really is. And so healing heartbreak and moving through the steps and becoming, again, emotionally fit so that you can reconnect with those people in your life and let in what's positive for you and be able to communicate in a way that's productive is so important. So it helps in all aspects of our relationships and our life and our love to have that kind of fitness.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you've ever been through a heartbreak where you just looked at yourself in the mirror and you thought, how did I get here? Like, who am I?
Mm-hmm.
And you have no idea where to go because you feel so emotionally weak. If one little thing happens, you're going to break.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's so important to build that up so that we don't feel like that. And when we are going through a hard time, we know I'm going to get through this. I'm going to be okay. I'm going to get to the other side of it. I have tools. I can move through this and everything will be fine.
Yeah.
That's a confidence that's priceless.
And that a lot of us want, absolutely, in all of the things that we go through. And as you were kind of talking about, when you're healing, I feel you also reconnect to yourself. Sometimes you lose yourself. And as you said, when you're looking in the mirror, how did I get here and who am I? Being at the point where they can reach out to you and say, okay, I am ready to break down the walls. I am ready to pick up the pieces and I'm ready to rediscover who I am here today with all of the things that I've carried and all of the particular hurt and pain that I've carried with me that maybe we don't need to carry anymore. It's such a service that's amazing for people. If you had maybe one piece of advice for women out there thinking about reaching out to you, or if they should or how they should, what would be a piece of advice that you would want and how could they reach out to you?
Well, it's really important that we get our thoughts outside of our mind. And often we don't have anyone to talk to because we become broken records to the people in our life. And so we keep it to ourselves. So just being open to have a conversation and talk about it, I would highly recommend taking advantage of whether it be me or another coach or therapist to just have a session or have what I call a clarity call, which is a free 60-minute call. I talk to you and I get an idea of where you're at in your journey, if I can help, and if I can't help, point you in the right direction. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a really valuable thing to take advantage of. And but ladies, you can find me on fittoLoveCoaching.com or on my Instagram, it's at fittoLoveCoaching.
I love that. Thank you so much for jumping on here today and sharing with us your passion and your ability to help people kind of make those transitions and live again in the way that they want to. Thank you all for joining us on this 10 and 10 podcast and proving that meaningful connections and conversations can happen in just 10 minutes. Please reach out if you feel that you are having heartbreak or you're dealing with it. And make sure to also join in for our next episode of 10 and 10 because it might just be the connection you didn't even know you need.